To that 7 lakh crores, if you add all the sales tax revenue and all other indirect taxes which he was rightly pointed out, it will be 2, 3 or 4 times that figure. This time, if you closely watch the budget, if you have seen the budget figures closely, this is probably the first time that the revenue deficit is at its lowest. It's hardly 0.3% this time, the revenue deficit. I'm not talking of the fiscal deficit, because fiscal deficit is a different figure. The reason is that tax collections have actually been exceeded this time. As compared to all the last 4-5 years, every time you would see projections of fancy figures and shortfall of 60,000-70,000 crores. Every year this was happening. This year, actually it has exceeded the target. Why? What are the reasons it has exceeded? There is a shortfall of around 40,000 crores in direct tax collections this year, which clearly means that the expected revenue from corporate tax and personal tax has not taken place. What the government expected the economy to grow, it has not actually grown to that extent. Otherwise, the tax collections would have been buoyant. Significantly, the reason is this. You have had 2 years of drought, and therefore, the purchasing power of the large portions of the population is not there. However, because of the fall in oil prices, the government has cleverly hiked excise duty. Every time there is a fall in oil price, they will hike excise duty on the oil. They have collected 50,000 crores revenue from excise on that alone. So in this budget, you have had a collection of 2,70,000 crores from central excise, 2,10,000 crores an odd from service tax, and around 2,10,000 crores an odd from customs duty, totaling around 7 lakhs roughly. Please come here in front. There is space. Front rows are vacant. You can please come. Now, against this backdrop, let us see. We cannot say, generally, if somebody asks me at any point of time, is this budget good, bad, other things, Every budget is a reaction to the macroeconomic environment at that point of time. You cannot say if the budget is good or bad. It's a reaction to the macroeconomic environment. Whatever it is political, it is economic, everything mixed together. In this backdrop, that this year the tax collections have been good as compared to the previous years, largely on account of the oil prices falling and they not passing it on to the consumer fully. There has been a lot of amendments that have been made in central excise, customs and service tax. I have been told that I should concentrate on service tax, sir. Chairman, sir. That largely on service tax, which is relevant to most of you. So I will only touch first upon certain amendments in excise and customs, and then I will go on to, I will touch the macro issues over there. I will not go in depth. Largely the rates, the peak rates have remained the same. There is no change. In customs, warehousing provisions have been amended to make it on self-assessment basis. Today, most of the warehousing provisions in customs are restricted to physical control. They want to bring this physical control to a limited number of products and leave the rest of it to be done by the private individual. This is a welcome change, let me tell you, in Customs Act. It has not been getting enough highlighted, which should happen, especially in port cities. It's a welcome amendment that is going to come through. Ease of doing business. Surely this is an ease of doing business. So there is something in the budget, surely. Why are they doing it? If you look at the FDI policy, they are going to open up FDI in the agro processing industry. I don't know if you noticed this during the budget speech. He mentioned this. What does that mean? Whatever is processed by or not processed by the farmer, let me put it that way, will be picked up by these large entities, processed, put in a warehouse and exported or supplied to the rest of India. You're opening up the warehousing provisions in Customs Act and the FDI policy that they are going to introduce on agro processing is to some extent linked. But this is also another major announcement that is happening, because you're going to have substantial amount of FDI flowing into the agro processing industry over a period of time if the policies are put in properly. There is yet another very important issue which has been broached in the budget, which has nothing to do with customs, excise and service tax, but you should know this. They want to open up the transport sector completely to private participation. The Motor Vehicles Act and the rest of all the other acts will be amended to facilitate competition to state-run buses, which has been a monopoly till now. Except that it depends on which state wants to accept, they can accept it. You will have a hue and cry over this provision. But that is why it was mentioned in a line and it went on the budget. I told you ease of doing business. What is ease of governance? There is an extremely retrograde provision in the customs, excise and service tax, where they have extended the time limit for issuing notices. Earlier in customs and excise law, notices could be issued in the normal course within 1 year of the relevant date. Now that date is getting extended to 2 years in customs and excise and is getting extended to 30 months in service tax. Virtually 2.5 years the department can sleep and then get up and issue you a notice. This is not ease of doing business, this is ease of governance. Or I would say ease of helping the government servants. I would put it that way. In customs, what they have done also, by way of duty structure if you see, they have reduced the import duty of a whole host of electronic raw materials, with the hope that plants will be put up in India for the purpose of manufacturing electronic products in India. This is probably a major amendment that has been made. For example, mobile phones, for example, modems, routers, and a whole host of electronic equipment. What they want to do is reduce the raw material customs duty. They brought it down to nil in many cases. They brought it down to nil in many cases on the condition that it is used for manufacture of items like routers or modems or etc. whatever it is. This will give a fillip to Make in India program if we are in a position to competitively manufacture. Because customs duty, let me tell you one thing. We can criticize the Prime Minister's Make in India program, but we are to blame. You can't criticize. His objective is very good, that he wants people to make in India. But unless it is competitively priced, you can't do it. The onus is on the manufacturer to do it. He has reduced now the customs duty to nil. Now it is the onus goes back to the manufacturer to put up the plant and do it. If we can compete with countries like Korea and Japan. If you want to see, if you saw Nokia shutting down its plant and going. Probably you may have some mobile plants coming into the country because of this customs duty amendments that have taken place. Another welcome amendment across the legislations is the reduction of interest rates. You know, in service tax, your interest rates were 18%, 24%, 30%, and it looked as if almost government is in the business of money lending. In fact, a couple of budgets before I had mentioned that probably government has realized that it's not getting tax revenues. Let me get into money lending business. This time they have put an end to that again, made the interest rates common at 15% across, 1/5, except where you collect the tax and do not remit it, it will be 24%. Largely these are the amendments of the interest. So this is a very welcome move made by the government. Now let me go to the major amendments in excise. I am virtually leaving out a few things. For example, some amendments have been made in the baggage allowances and baggage rules, which are minor, so I am not dealing with those things. There are some good amendments made to the advanced licensing scheme, which I am not touching over here. If you can, I will restrict that to the question and answer section if required. In excise, what are the amendments that are made? Let me tell you, in central excise, ready-made garments is being now subjected to central excise. This was a proposal which was mooted in 2011 and dropped because of very stiff amendment, opposition to this move. The tax that time was, I think, levied at 10%. This time they are not doing that. They are introducing it at 2% without settlement, or 12.5% with settlement, and it is restricted to shirts or garments which cost over ₹1,000 and which carry a brand name. So branded garments which are priced over ₹1,000 will be subjected to central excise duty. So therefore, I can imagine that all the persons who are sitting here would be wearing shirts and pants, etc., which are above ₹1,000. There's no doubt on that. You can make out. I am the only one who is dressed very modestly. 2% hike will be there, but they've also clarified this. It will not stretch to individual tailors who stitch clothes. I'm very happy for this. Imagine people go, excise authorities going to Darji and telling him, where is he? Come on, pay excise. Sometimes, I wonder this recovery agents service tax. I mentioned it in Calcutta so many years back. I don't know how they are going to recover this tax. If any service tax authority goes to recover tax from a recovery agent, please call me, I will come with a camera. That is why they put this last year, they put it on reverse charge mechanism. Second thing, on jewellery, they are introducing central excise. Now, jewellery, introducing means it has already been done. There is a small tax of 1% which they are introducing on jewelry without SENVAT or 12.5% with SENVAT. I know that they tried this earlier also, and there was a huge hue and cry, and they couldn't introduce it. So this time they have said this. They are introducing 1% tax on jewelry. It will apply to those whose turnover in the last year has been less than, more than 12 crores. And up to 6 crores you can take exemption this year. After 6 crores you will have to pay 1% excise duty. They have said the person who gets the jewelry manufactured on his account will pay, so that the small artisans will not be troubled by excise authorities. 1, 2. They have said while issuing registrations and even thereafter, there will be no physical inspection by central excise authorities. They have said it in the circular in 2 or 3 places. No physical inspection will be done. These were the 2 things that were worrying the jewelers. Not that I am not saying that it's not going to worry them anymore. Fact of the matter is this has been introduced. Third one, which is of concern to all those who want to buy SUVs. There is an infrastructure cess that has been brought into this budget. A cess of 4% is the rate. It gets reduced in certain, they have issued an exemption notification where they say, for example, electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles, auto rickshaws don't suffer this cess. Motor cars with an engine capacity of up to 1200 cc and a length of that 4 meters will suffer a 1% cess. If it's a diesel car with certain other parameters, it will be 2.5% cess. All other cars will get 4% cess. And this cess is not SENVATable. I repeat, is not SENVATable, which means it is a direct cost to the consumer. So if you take a car like a Mercedes Benz, which I think some of you will be owning, if you want to own another Mercedes Benz, it will cost you 4% more. That may go up to 4 lakhs, 6 lakhs, depending on the cost of the car. But to tell you the truth, for the person who spends 1 crore on a Benz, another 4 lakhs is nothing, what is that? This is not a major impact for him. That is what the government is cashing on. They know that the person who wants to buy will anyway buy the SUV or the costly vehicle. Infrastructure cess. There are not many amendments in the Excise Act, but the rules, there are a lot of amendments which have been made. Should I touch upon them, sir, or shall I go to service tax? What do you suggest? Please touch upon them. Okay. There are so many. I have to touch very lightly, says the chairman. Provisional assessment. Interest on provisional assessment will be done. The interest will be charged from the time when you should have paid the duty. If you remember, SKF Baring's case was the Supreme Court, which held this position. Another bench of the Supreme Court referred this to a larger bench, and it's now pending in the larger bench in Steel Authority of India Limited. Earlier, they used to make amendments to overcome tribunal or Supreme Court judgments. Now, awaiting a larger bench decision, they are making an amendment. This is new. Whenever any matter is referred to larger bench, now they will start making prospective amendment. Luckily, it is prospective. See the impact, what do I mean by what I am saying? Supposing I remove excise duty today at X price and pay the duty. My price gets revised, especially in government contracts, gets revised after 2 years. It will apply to all my clearances which I did 2 years back also, right? What the government says, what this amendment says is, if you are going under provisional assessment, because of price revision, you should have paid more excise excise duty from that day, and therefore you will be liable to pay interest from that day. That is the impact of this amendment. It's retrograde. They need not have done it, but they have done it. Filing of returns, they have seen to have, as is rightly said, annual returns are there in excise and in service tax. They have reduced the number of returns from around 25, 27 returns to about 12, 13 returns which are to be made. Penalty provisions have been made easier. There are certain amendments in the manner of payment which they have also made easier in Rule 8, but that doesn't touch most of you people. And Rule 11 invoices also some changes have been made, but that also will not, we will not touch upon that. Where they have done substantially good amendments is in Senate credit rules. Substantially good amendments. First of all, they have said railway wagons will be captive goods. You will take credit on that. Office equipment and appliances which are used earlier were not, eligible for CENMAT credit. They have been made eligible for CENMAT credit. Equipments used for pumping water which are located outside the factory have been made eligible for CENMAT credit as capital goods. Capital goods, each of value 10,000 rupees, that means small value capital goods, they have removed it out from the definition of capital goods and put it into inputs so that you can take immediate credit. Conditions for allowing credit, they have substantially liberalized. In one case, I found a couple which are very controversial but very beneficial. If you see closely, capital goods, if I used it exclusively in the manufacture of exempted goods, I was not allowed credit. That all of you know. In this budget they say, strangely I am waiting for some clarifications to come. They say, capital goods which are used exclusively in the manufacture of exempted goods, you cannot take credit for the first 2 years. Does it mean to say that after 2 years you can take the credit, you can avail the credit? This will be especially important for those who, let me tell you, start manufacturing exempted goods the first 1 or 2 years. After 2 years, let us say that you add on to your products which are excisable. Probably this is meant to benefit those. I don't know, we have to wait and see how this rule will work. This is an extremely controversial but very beneficial amendment if you see from that point of view. Strangely, in capital goods credit, they had given credit for jigs, fixtures, molds. Tools were never mentioned. This budget they have mentioned that also, and has also said that these could be sent directly to the job worker. They need not even come to your factory. That is also a relaxation of the conditions. Removal from the job worker's premises under 4(6). Now the permissions will be for 3 years and not 1 year. I am mentioning all these amendments because there are some who are actually interested in these amendments. So I am mentioning all these amendments, it will be of use to them. In service tax, they have amended the list of declared services to include assignment of rights by the government. Radio spectrum, for example, they transfer it to a private party. They say it is not goods, it is service, and therefore it is a declared service. This amendment has been brought about in this budget. let me tell you that this is going to be subjected to serious constitutional validity challenge. But that apart, why I am talking about it now is, they have said as far as Senvat credit is concerned, if you pay a lump sum to the government, you can take credit on that because you will be paying service tax. You can take credit on that over a period of the terms of the license. If you have a royalty payment to be made to the government on that service tax every month or whenever you pay, you can take credit. Rule 6 has been substantially recast in this budget. Rule 6 has been substantially recast. Completely recast. Rule 6 is a rule which, as you know, operates for giving credit when you use it commonly for dutiable goods and exempted goods, or dutiable services and taxable services and exempt services. Rule 6 has been recast completely. They have made it a sort of simple, as I can see now, but I know that it will, as we work with it, it will become more and more complicated. Any rule is simple to start with and becomes more complicated when more chartered accountants and lawyers put their mind to it. I have included me also. When I read it is very simple, but when a learned person like him reads, it becomes very complicated because he is able to twist things and tell these are the loopholes. What they are trying to do is this. Let me just briefly tell you what they are trying to do. Whatever credit is used exclusively in the manufacture of exempted goods or exempted services excluded. No question of taking credit. This principle is there already in 6 bracket 1. Second step. Whatever credit is utilized exclusively for taxable goods or taxable services, take it 100%. Take it 100%. Then you have a balance of credit that is called common credit. You apply the ratio now to this common credit is what this rule says. Have you understood this? Very simple. Whatever is the balance of credit, you apply the ratio of exempted turnover to total turnover, that will be reversed. Balance you can take the credit. This is in a gist the provisions. I will not go deeper into this. As we work, we will see how complicated are. And then you have provisions. This reversal of this credit should be done monthly. If you don't do it monthly, you will have to pay interest at 15%. Supposing the last year you never had exempted services or you never had taxable services, let us say, or taxable goods turnover. In such case, you will provisionally reverse 50% of the credit. That is what it says, the new rules. Adjust it at the year end, calculate your actual credit, adjust it, reverse or retake credit by 30th of June, the same provisions which were there earlier in Rule 6. Banking companies have given an option. Earlier they will reverse 50% of the credit taken every month or whatever the period it may be. Now they have 2 options. One based on actuals or 50%. As far as banking companies are concerned. Is there anything, there is some changes in the input service distributor scheme under Rule 7. I have put that out in my note. What are the changes? There are not many changes, but what they are trying to say is that the input service distributor scheme can work even to an outsourced manufacturer. You can transfer credit even to an outsourced manufacturer if the credit pertains to him. You understand what? Supposing, let me say, I am taking credit. I outsource product manufacturing to you. I have to perforce go under Rule 4 bracket 5 because I will take the credit, you will be paying the duty. So So you will not pay the duty, you will give it to me and then I will sell. Now what they want to do is this. They say if you outsource the manufacturing, you can outsource the credit also by transferring it to an input service distributor. So that you need not go under 4 bracket 5, the entire credit and duty payment can be done at the outsourced manufacturing unit. It's a beautiful scheme. It solves a lot of problems for people who don't want to take excise liability on their head. So it's not entirely a poor budget. So you have to look into provisions and then you will know what it is actually. Outside it all, I am putting so much in Manrega, I am putting so much in this one, I am putting so much in that one, all that is all fine. First is to collect tax to put it anywhere.